Hello health junkies, this is Chris Pickard, feeling fabulous at Body in Balance in Hertfordshire. Why am I feeling fabulous? Well, it's a long story, but I'll cut it short. Because of my parents, basically. They got me meditating from a young age. They gave me the idea to take some kind of supplements. They realized that food alone wasn't enough, especially when you ate rubbish anyway, like I used to. And thirdly, because of my parents, I've had my spine and my nervous system looked after from a young age, which is of course the subject of today's topic. So, Facebook has done its stuff, so here we go with today's lesson on homeostasis. I think it's really sad that my backwards handwriting is neater than my forwards handwriting. If you could see my forwards handwriting, maybe I'll have to do that for you one day, or maybe not. So, homeostasis, and today the nervous system. Okay, and the nervous system, it can be split up into different parts and different ways, and there's no way I'm going to cover everything about the role of the nervous system in homeostasis and how it happens, but I want to sort of go over a little bit of everything and how you can look after your nervous system and what I think the most important aspects are. And remember, I am probably going to be biased because of two things. I do a lot of nutrition in the clinic, I do a lot of work on detox, and I'm an ex-chiropractor. So I'll probably be a bit biased in what I kind of hint and think are important, but that's what people come to me for. So let's draw in the middle here. Okay, so the brain. Okay, the brain doesn't have four antennae or spikes coming out of it, but the brain, okay, it's the most nutrient dependent, it's the most toxin sensitive, it's the most stress vulnerable organ, so you really have to look after it massively. And I'm going to come back to some of these things in a minute. But what I'm actually looking at, why I've got four things coming out of here is basically there are four major, what are called, you see, I'm not writing backwards. There are four major neurotransmitters, okay, chemicals basically, that are made in the brain that help you regulate how your brain works and how the rest of the functions in your body work. Okay, there's acetylcholine, which is used a lot, which is basically thinking. It's your thinking molecule. So if you're having lots of fuzzy thinking, it can be because you just are not making enough acetylcholine. Okay, second one is something called dopamine. And dopamine, I don't know how it managed to get the name dopamine, because it's certainly nothing to do with being dopey. It's a lot more to do with strength of will and actually physical force and movement. And it's dopamine that is a problem with people with Parkinson's, for instance, but it's not just Parkinson's. And you need dopamine. So acetylcholine, dopamine. Then you have something that a lot of people have heard of, serotonin, which is kind of the happy, feel-good molecule. Things like amitriptyline. A lot of people are on amitriptyline to try and help recycle your own serotonin, and some people it can help with sleep, it can help with depression, it can help with getting rid of pain. But the brain is much more complex than just one chemical being in charge of one thing. It's a lot of things working all at the same time. And then there's something that I'm always working with people in chronic pain, not serotonin, but gamma aminobutyric acid, GABA, G-A-B-A. GABA, it's another one of the feel-good molecules, and it's so used up in stressed people. People who are in lots of pain have very low levels of GABA. In the medical world, they give you lots of something called gabapentin, but really you want to be able to make it yourself from all the raw ingredients, which is why diet's important. Now, the interesting thing about all these four major chemicals in the brain is they're also made in the gut. So actually looking after your brain, you have to look after your gut. So it comes back to eating right, of course. Hi Sharon, you obviously haven't read or watched any of my videos for about the past year or so. Yes, Haven't been a chiropractor for some time. So, there we go. Homeostasis for brain. Then, okay, and that's not it. I mean, basically, the brain does help them. There's all sorts of things there that help regulate all of our communication systems, but the basics. Then we have the actual spinal cord itself. So all the nerves, not all the nerves, but most of the nerves from the brain come down through the spinal cord, and then they split off and are paired at each level of the spine. I don't know why I always do them alternating, because they're the same level. And this goes to your muscles, it goes to your internal organs. I mean, it's not just one nerve that goes out, it's the whole myriad, and they crisscross each other. They go down to your arms, they go into your blood vessel, go into your bone marrow, and then of course it all comes back up as well. And in order to keep your nervous system healthy, yes, you need all the right nutrients, things like fish oil. A lot of your system is made of fats, and fish oil and omega-3 fats that you get from animals are great for making brain tissue and nervous system tissue. You can get everything you need from vegetable sources. You need to really make sure you're well nourished. So don't go out and just buy any old fish oil, though. Make sure it's been cleaned and distilled, or so it's got as few toxins as possible, because there are so many toxins in the ocean, which are then in things like cod liver oil. So you want to make sure it's like anchovies, herring, sardine oil, because they're smaller fish, lower down the food chain, less poisons and toxins in them. And that's the fish oils I use. There are lots of other things you can do as well. Another really important oil for the brain, or one that's in a good balance, which is the right balance of omega-3 to omega-6 oils already, is hemp oil. Now, I'm not talking about cannabidiol oil, which is what I spoke a little bit about yesterday, and I'm going to go into more detail on Friday. I'm just talking about the hemp oil. You can go into your health food shop, and it's next to the flaxseed oil. So it tastes oily, you can put it on salads, things like that, have a couple of tablespoons a day, and that's really good for the brain and the nervous system. Okay, it's all in the right balance and stuff, so make sure it's organic, cold pressed, etc. Okay, so hemp oil is really good, fish oil is very good for the brain and the nervous system as well. Now, what else did I want to cover very, very quickly? So yeah, with brain chemicals, there's a questionnaire. I think I sent out about this last week as well. It's called the Braverman Nature Assessment. If you'd like a copy of that, then email me and I'll send it out to you, and then you can send me back the numbers and I can give you some hints about what you might need to do. Yes, so two things. And so you've got to make sure it's well nourished. You've also got to make sure that it's not toxic. Surprise, surprise, I'm talking about toxicity. Okay, got to make sure that it's not toxic. And I mean, you can only really tell if you maybe have a biopsy of the brain and the nervous tissues, but a really good test to go and get done is the Visual Contrast Sensitivity Test. And you can just go to vcstest.com. I'll put a link to it. Put me down as the referrer. It costs £8. They'll send me a copy of the report, and it can help determine whether your brain and nervous system is toxic. Because if your brain and your nervous system is toxic, we're talking about we're talking about your brain. We're talking about your brain, we're talking about your nervous system, this kind of the master control system of coordinating everything that's happening in your life. You think up here, I mean, you need your brain to be as clean as possible. So please, at least do the visual contrast sensitivity test. And I really recommend going through the neurotoxic questionnaire as well. So if you'd like a copy of the neurotoxic questionnaire, email me. If you haven't got my email address, go to thepainreliefcenters.co.uk. There's a pop-up box that will come up saying sign up for my emails. Sign up for the emails. You'll get an email from me fairly instantaneously, automatically. Reply to it. Simples. Okay, and I'll send you all these things to fill in and do. So yeah, is it toxic? But then, now I've spoken about sort of nutritional nourishment, but what is the thing that really lights up this beastie? Okay, because what you really got to think of is you've got to think of this, yay, as a great big brain-powered light bulb. And the thing that really lights us up more than anything else is movement. Movement is the key. Another one of the Magnificent Seven. Movement really is the key to keeping your nervous system really, really, really healthy. Okay, if you are not moving, your nervous system is not fully activated. Your brain won't be fully happy. It will be stressed because, again, this is where all stress is coordinated, and what turns off stress? Movement. So that's one of the other things. Your brain is the most stress sensitive organ of the body, okay? And movement not only electrically feeds it, because every time you move, you produce electricity. Every time you move. And every joint produces a lot of electricity. And your spinal joints in your spine, spinal joints, so they're not going to be anywhere else, are they? All these little doohickeys. So your brain, yeah, there you go. Have I done that the right way around? Yes, there you go. The back of the brain sits in there, front of the brain there. It's just weird because it's backwards on this screen. Okay, so basically the brain sits in here, and all of these spinal nerves coming up from the spinal joints. If these joints are not moving, there's a number of things that happen. First of all, they can actually start sticking and irritating the nerves that go to the rest of the body. I mean, chiropractors are very keen on charts like this. Ooh, it's a massive, massive oversimplification of what actually happens, but different nerves can then affect different organ systems. They can cause different symptoms. Most people have heard of a slipped disc, and they know that a slipped disc in the lower back can cause leg pain, which nearly always gets called sciatica even when it's not sciatic. Slipped disc in the neck down the arm can cause arm pain. Fantastic, well done, Ellie. Yes, exactly. So each one of these joints, if it's stiff, okay, it's like a little dynamo that should be driving the brain, because 90% of the electrical stimulation of the brain comes from these joints. Okay, it doesn't matter how big a movements you're doing with your shoulders, it doesn't matter if you're running, jogging, cycling, sorry Ellie, you're not going to get as much nutrition to the brain as if you're actually moving and twisting your spine in all kinds of different directions. And this is why yoga can feel so energizing in so many ways. But of course, when you are running and twisting and cycling, you are actually moving your spine. It's not the bigger limbs, it's actually what that's happening through here as well. Turning your head side to side, moving it up and down, probably 50% of the nutrition just comes from the neck alone. But if one of these joints is stiff, it means when you are exercising, you're not going to get the full benefit of all of the exercise and movement you're doing. Which is why, as someone who still does a huge amount of spinal work, and I still do all the chiropractic stuff that I used to, it's very important to get it checked. So you have to eat healthily, check for, with your toxic, and then go to a chiropractor or an osteopath or a physiotherapist that actually, will check the individual movement of the joints, not just give you a once over of the spine. You want to find a physiotherapist who really, really does spinal manipulation, spinal adjustments. So go find yourself a chiropractor or an osteopath, and just get a check, just get checked. Okay. And if you can find a chiropractor that has, where's my advert? Okay, that does a scan that looks a bit like that. Spinal electromyography or thermography. This is my Frankenstein moments. I use a myovision, and so we press a button. It takes an electrical reading output, doesn't put anything in, and we do this all the way down the spine. It's like an ECG of your heart, apart from it's of your spine. And this again can help basically give you more feedback about what's happening in your spine and your nervous system. Okay, so let's see, what else do I need to do? We need to do spine, movement, electric field, toxicity. Actually, I think we've pretty much covered all of the basics there. Yeah, keep moving, because it's very, very important. Get all the nerves untrapped, make sure you're eating well, make sure you're unstressed, get rid of the toxins. So if you do want any of those, the Braverman questionnaire, if you want the neurotoxic questionnaire, I'll put also a link to the visual contrast sensitivity test. That's the one that costs money. I'm quite happy to have a quick look at everything you send back to me. With the Braverman, there's lots of numbers. There's 8 well, you add up 8 totals. Send those 8 numbers to me. The neurotoxic questionnaire, don't send the whole thing back to me unless you want to actually be taken on as a full client. But there's some questions at the end, and you just add up the numbers for that. You can send me those numbers back as well. And I'll give you a bit of direction about what you should really really be trying to do. Okay, so let's see. Having to go work spine very, very gently. Yeah, there's loads of great spinal techniques out there. Sacral occipital technique, torque release technique, very, very good as well. My phones, there's a complete rate. Yes, well done. That's all brilliant. Okay. And Sharon, yeah, I don't actually think it's as simple as that when you're doing live stuff to actually get it coming out on Facebook the right way around. You may have to be at it to see the screen, but when you're actually doing a Facebook broadcast, I don't think it works because I have friends with iPhones and they're not doing that yet. Okay, all right, so that's bye for now. And tomorrow, what do I want to cover tomorrow? The immune system. Okay, live long and prosper, everyone. Please share this with everyone you know, because the nervous system is so critically important and there are so many things that can be done. Oh, that's the other thing. I'm going to put a link to my spinal hygiene exercises. So you're going to get to see some old videos of me in the pre-My 365 days by a very long way. Okay, be well everyone. See you later.